So I worked for a couple years before I went to college, and some of the best lessons I got, and I put them in the book. And one of it I call a mentor and a model because I was just a kid. I didn't know how to do anything. So I was kind of green. And if you told me how to do it, I thought you had the kung fu. Like if you said, Mel, do it this way, I thought you knew what you were talking about. So I was a great coachable kid. So the first job I got out of high school was for Green Tree Acceptance, and this was for collections in the mobile home world. Okay, so
Oh,
it was a very interesting segment of
it is
collecting,
interesting.
and
Yes.
I'll never forget. I'll be brief with this. I did put it in the book, but it's funny. I go to my first day on the job, and the general manager introduces me to Tina. All right. Well, Tina was a kind of scary lady. She was really sharp. I was young. I was a little bit scared of her, and she smoked. And so she was smoke. That's back when you could smoke in the office. So she smoked, and she's like blowing smoke on me. And she looks at me. She says, "Mel, you do exactly what I tell you." And she said, "Don't you listen to any of these other people in here because they don't know what they're talking about. You do it like I say because I'm better than them." And I was like, "Yes, ma'am." Listen, Kevin, I did exactly what she said, and it worked. And I was like, I was young, so I believed that when you went to work, somebody could tell you how to do it, and you did it. I applied that to the first job I had out of college, and it happened again. So I was working with a guy named Mark Roth, and Mark was like an ex-Montreal Canadiens hockey player. He was an ex-Army Ranger. He was another scary dude. He looks at me and he says, "Mel, you're going to do it exactly this way." And I said, "Yes, sir." And I did that for USA Mobile. I was helping take the paging industry back then when people had beepers, and I was their growth guy. So I took USA Mobile south out of Cincinnati, basically to the coast. And once again, I did exactly what he said, and I became one of the most successful, leaders in that company. So early on in my career, I was, for good, bad, or indifferent, I was somewhat, it worked for me, but I don't know that everybody always knows what they're talking about. Like sometimes you go to work for a boss, they don't have a clue. If you do what they say, you fail. But I had good ones. And so it catapulted me early in my career to be a leader. So at 1 or 2 years out of university, I was already managing and leading and growing. And so my career kind of kicked out, went into sales, went into general management, and by the time I was 30, I was at the C level. And then I was taking on more and more complex fix ups at that time. And, you know, que sera, sera, on it went, up until when I finally hung up my cleats. But yeah, I came out of sales, um, was really good as a Pied Piper. I realized I was pretty good at getting people to follow me, but then I had to learn more about how to do it. Nothing makes you feel worse than talking a whole line of people into a shredder, you know. So I had to learn to attach to my ability to talk you into doing something, to actually being a guy worth following that's going to lead you to success. And so put a lot of pressure on myself to learn how. And it's interesting in my book, I call that. So I'll say this real quick. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but everybody's good at having a vision in business. Okay, everybody agrees. We have visionaries. We have a vision, and the vision is the destination. Let's go to Mars. Most people in our business don't give up on where we're taking them. They begin to question or give up on our ability to get them there. And I call that the how journey. I call it the subvision, and that's part of culture change. Is obviously you want to align everybody around where you're going. The vision, the Simon Sinek stuff is brilliant. But where most of us get paid, where most of us drive the value, is we have to figure out how to get there. So if you want to jump to the front of the line and talk a bunch of people into, hey, follow me, I can take you there, you actually have to know what you're doing. And so part of what I developed in Uncommon Sense over the years was that subvision. How do you get people all on one side of the rope? How do you get them all pulling the same direction and really honestly being a decent person that's going to get them there? Not
Mhm.
just take advantage of them. And so that my early part of my career, I had such good mentors that it shaped me into that I was supposed to have the kung fu. If you asked me how to do it, I had to tell you how to do it, just like Tina and like Mark. And
Mhm.
so it shaped me.